Hello, welcome to A Producer's Life in Uganda. Hello, Free Trader. Thank you for joining. We've just finished watching Let's Cook episode 5, the semi-finals, second of the semi-finals. So that was really interesting. And now we have our second semi-finalist. Congratulations to Edith Kwagala. Edith Kwagala will be joining Pablo Semper in the finals of Let's Cook on Record TV next Saturday at 7 p.m. How are you doing, Free Trader? How's your day so far? Hope all is well. How's Pfizer doing? Did you make some good decisions there? So we have Margaret Namaganda. Margaret also is here. She was waiting before the live stream came on. So, and I don't know if you have met her already, but do make contact if you would like. That would be great. So what we're going to do today is we are just going to talk about Let's Cook and anything else that comes up as we are there. And then we can find out what is going to happen in the finals, but I can't reveal anything. But I will be happy to let you chat with any of the contestants that managed to make it into this live stream. They're a bit publicity shy, I must say. So I'm going to try and coax them to come in and chat to everyone, so that those who watch the show are able to interact with them. So we'll do that. And we might even have some contestants from season 2 as well, who could come in and chat with us, let us know what their experience was like, and just let us know how they found the whole experience. So yes, today I'm in a different location. I'm usually outside in the fresh air with the plants and with wildlife around me, but today, just for the ease of keeping the kids occupied, then I'm here. So we have Mike Times as well, who's come in, who says, another good show. Where have the past 5 weeks gone? I know, can't believe the next week is the finale. Next week is the finale at 7 p.m. on Record TV, same place, same location, and on their Facebook page for people who are not part of Record, or people who don't have Record TV, the actual TV station on their TVs, because it's usually in Uganda. So we shall be enjoying that. We should be looking forward to that. We're looking forward to the finals. And it's nice we've got a man and a woman as well. So we will finally have the battle of the sexes. Is there a difference between men and women in cooking? I don't know. What do you think? Is there a difference? But we'll see how they perform. And these are 2 individuals, so obviously the results won't determine whether it's men or women that are the best cooks. But it will be a fun challenge just to see the dynamics and how they both perform. And it's good that in Edith's, at the end of the show that we've just watched, Edith was like, I'm not scared of you, Pablo. But you never know. Mike Time says that he thought that Jane's Kitchen, hello, how are you? Welcome. Mike Time said he thought that Hakeem, with his healthy cooking, was going to be the one to make it. Yes, Hakeem did seem very good, didn't he? Because he did an Asian-inspired dish. And hi, Namaganda Jane. He did an Asian-inspired dish, and he had those flavors with soy sauce and all of that in his dish there. And he was very, very keen. Hakeem was very, very keen on healthy eating and wanting to make sure that the food was nutritious, getting the right balance for cholesterol. In the other episodes, he was talking about antitoxins, which Judge Michael was like, what are antitoxins again? So he had to be schooled on that, which was great because it meant that we, the viewers, were able to learn. So just for those who are coming in who might not know what we're doing today, we are talking about Let's Cook. The semi-finals are over. We've got our two finalists who are Pablo Semper and I was going to say John Paul O'Mara, and Pablo Semper and Edith Quagala. Welcome to Brainy Teddy as well. She is in here. We've got lots of YouTubers in here. Scroll up and see. We've got Namaganda Jane, Namaganda Margaret. We've got Free Trader. We've got Jane's Kitchen. We've got Brainy Teddy. So lots of YouTubers in here. If you have any non-YouTubers, please spread the word and get them to come to my house. I'm looking for non-YouTubers actually. So yes, the semi-finals have been completed. We now have our two finalists, Pablo Semper and Pablo Semper and Edith Quagala. And just to let you know, the person who's just called on my WhatsApp, I'm doing a live right now, but didn't want to cancel. So just letting you know, the person who's just called my WhatsApp. So yes, those are our two finalists. And we have them going through Pablo Semper and Edith Quagala. And next week, Saturday, we will have our finals. And it's going to be the battle of the sexes. Who cooks better, men or women? Drop it in your comment now. Who do you think is going to win? Is it going to be a man or is it going to be a woman? Now, it doesn't really matter if it's a man or if it's a woman. It's all about the passion, isn't it? It's all about what you bring to the table. It's all about appreciating food and what you can create with simple ingredients, how you can use the flavors and all of that. Oh, Margaret Namagana says a woman is going to win, Right, so anyone, again, Pablo on the finals. Again, Pablo on the final. Ow, who do you think? Is it, so Namaganda Margaret, do you think Pablo's going to win or do you think Edith? Because you said a woman. Thank you very much, Mike Times. Love the show and it's a great creation. Thank you very much. I wanted to bring something fresh and new to Uganda. I wanted to bring something that was exciting, something that was different, something that didn't restrict people. It wasn't the same old thing of, you know, there's a presenter talking to someone and then they have to cook something. And I wanted it to be an actual competition live. It's not a live competition, it's pre-recorded, but what I mean is they're cooking is live and is uninterrupted. Once we say 3, 2, 1, let's cook, it's over to them. They have to take control and they actually have to cook. Right, okay, so we've got here. No changed. I want a woman. Oh, you changed. Oh, you want a woman to win, but you think Pablo is funny. Okay. So tell me now, Margaret, why is it that you want a woman to win? Obviously, you're a woman, but why specifically? Why do you want a woman to win? It can't just be the fact that you're a woman. Yeah, now Pablo, if you look at Pablo's dishes, he's really pulled out of the bag. In fact, from day one, he came out with something just out of this world, cinnamon matoke balls. All right, before you ever watch Let's Cook, hands up, all the Ugandans here, how many of you have ever eaten cinnamon matoke balls? How many have ever eaten a cinnamon matoke ball? So it's one of those things that, you know, you wouldn't really, it's hard to kind of, you have to recognize what Pablo has done as well. The first round, he did cinnamon matoke balls. Then second time around, he did, he called his dish the setting sun. And that was with the plantain going off like this with the, what do you call it? The bell pepper in the middle. And he called it the setting sun with bechamel sauce. Now Edith, her fish, the way she did her fish, it was so succulent. And it was just like she did it in the oven, but it was as if it was like boiled. It was really, really sort of really melt in your mouth kind of food. So she did well as well. You know, they complimented her food, the taste of her food all the time. So now we've got, so Namaganda Margaret says, okay, so we've got, I'm just trying to work out the best place to read, whether to read from here, the comments, or whether to read from the screen there. I put it on my phone just to see if it could make it easier, but let's have a look. So Mike Time says, asking Jane and Margaret a question. Not Jane, I think you mean Brainy. Oh no, Jane's there, Jane's Kitchen. Brainy and Margaret and Free Trader. So 5 minutes to make a chapati. Do you think that you would have been able to do it in 5 minutes? And let's see what the responses are. Margaret says, Mike can't do it really, but still support my fellow women. Jane, don't forget to comment. Me, I can't really. Right, so you wouldn't be able to do it. Now, I read a very interesting comment. Margaret said, because cooking is a woman's thing, so just want her to win. Now, what do you mean by that? Because if you look at all the top chefs, if you look at the celebrity chefs, especially here in the UK, the majority of celebrity chefs are male. And I can count the female celebrity chefs that I can call off head on one hand. You know, Lorraine Pasquale, Mary Berry, Prue Leaf, although I don't know if Prue cooks, maybe she does, but Mary Berry I know does cooking, Lorraine Pasquale. I can't think of any other female cook like who does it professionally. Men, Gordon Ramsay, Jamie Oliver, what's the guy's name that does all these weird things? Hugh Ferning, not Hugh Ferning Whittington. What's his name? I've said his name recently. He does all these like smoke chamber dishes. Yeah, so those ones, there are loads of them. The guy who recently died as well. So there are lots and lots. You always see men, Ainsley Harriott, you see lots and lots of programs with men being the cooks or the chefs. The men are the chefs there. So I think for tradition and culture, in Africa specifically, it's traditionally seen as the woman's role to cook. But I think then in that case, then it becomes more of a duty rather than something that they can be creative with, unless if you have that kind of attitude to be creative with your dishes. So I think in the competition setting, we've seen in round 1 and round 2, we lost a woman in round 1, we lost a woman in round 2 and remained with 2 men. And then in round 3, a woman went through. So I think it's one of those things. Do women just cook out of duty? Or I know there are lots of women who cook out of passion. So I'd like to see what Jane's Kitchen, what her views are and what she's seen in her industry, because obviously she creates content and she creates food-related content. So Jane, what do you think about this, the role of the sexes with regards to cooking? How do you find, what kind of attitude do you take on? Do you take on the, it's my passion, it's my life, I love it? Or do you do it because you're expected to do it? And that's a question to everyone in the room. So yes, we're excited to move forward. I better look at some of these comments. So cooking is a woman's thing. Brainy Teddy says hi to Jane's Kitchen. Brainy Teddy says, I've never seen those types of matoke balls. They were balls. Exactly. So Pablo Semper brought something new to matoke. Matoke is very, very, for those who don't know, it's like a green banana or green plantain-esque type thing. You steam it, you can steam it, and they usually like squish it together and they eat it as a main food in Uganda. They have it like with a sauce or with peanut sauce or with fish sauce or with anything. And this Pablo Semper, he just thought outside the box. He's like, instead of just steaming it like everybody else does, Why don't I make them, boil it or steam it, make them into rolls, cover them in cinnamon, cover them in breadcrumbs, in egg, then breadcrumbs, then fry it. And he made cinnamon matoke balls. So now all of you out there in Uganda and all around the world who like matoke could try that recipe, could try cinnamon matoke balls and see what it tastes like. Now the judges, sorry, I need to look up. The judges did say that it was delicious, and they were like, wow, we never tasted anything like this before. They really enjoyed it. Let's see what else we've got here. Mike, okay, you don't really, okay, Jane, don't forget me, I can't really write, okay, I can, but may the best man win, or woman. I know, dear, but still stand for her just. Really, men are best chefs, but it might change on the finals. How are they testing? What do you mean? How are they testing? How were they testing? What do you mean? Can you just rephrase that question? How are they testing? So the judges the judges had never tasted cinnamon matoke balls. They had never tasted it before. And they'd never tasted it before, and it was something fresh, it was something new. In fact, anybody who I've shown this to, even beforehand, had never heard of cinnamon matoke balls, never thought of creating cinnamon matoke balls. But Pablo Semper brought that into the atmosphere, brought that into the field of, we can do something with the food that we have. We don't necessarily have to go and have something else like spaghetti or whatever. We can use the local food that we have, but just make it a bit more interesting, and just just give it some spice, not spice as in chili spice, but give it something different, something unique, something that you can try with, something that you can do different things with. And you'll surprise yourself if you go and experiment with food. It's amazing how you can use ordinary food and create something wonderful. An ordinary thing like matoke, which is very common in Uganda. It's a small green banana-ish style thing, or a small green plantain, but I would call it a small green banana. It's like this big. Plantain's bigger, right? Like this. Although in Uganda, the plantains you can get small ones. So if you just think outside the box and think, what could make this more interesting? What spices and flavors can I use to infuse this and to help it to bring some life to it? And that's not to say that there isn't anything wrong with, just with a boiled potato or steamed matoke. There's nothing wrong with using the ingredients as they are. But then again, somebody realized that you needed to boil the potato. Somebody realized that, you could fry potato. Somebody realized that, you can have mashed potato. So it's about trying to explore the different uses of the local foods that we have, so that we can have variety in our meals, and we don't necessarily have to keep on importing things to Africa, for example. You can use what you have, but just doing it in a different way. After all, there are lots of food. I mean, can you think of any foods that are not used traditionally? Sort of, you'd think that you just boil it, but it's used differently based on how people have started using it. Beetroot, for example. People are making beetroot crisps. You can make crisps out of anything these days. People are using the skin of different vegetables to make crisps, putting it in the oven and making crisps out of them. So it's just really allowing ourselves to open our minds to think differently about food. But one thing that I do want to highlight is the fact that Let's Cook is about the stories. It's about the lives. And one thing that was striking today was the tribute that mothers and parents got today in the show. So the contestants were asked the question, who inspires them in life? who inspires them in life. Edith Quagala said that her mother inspired her, and of course her mother had a very big part to play. And then she mentioned somebody else who inspired her, who was a pastor in the country. Now, just that in itself, you know, someone who's grown up, they have their own kids now, being able to appreciate the hard work and the example that their mother showed them. I think that's very powerful. So, you know, honoring our parents is a good thing to do. And you pray that you have a good relationship with your parents and that you can think of your parents positively, because I know there are situations out there where that's not the case. The same thing with Hakeem Bouanika. Hakeem Bouanika said the person who inspired him was both his mother and his father, and that they, you know, drive him and they've encouraged him. So again, that's the other thing as well, being able to have that appreciation of your parents and what they have instilled in you, and how what they've instilled in you has made you the person that you are today. And hopefully that's a positive, kind, responsible, helpful, you know, person that can bring something positive into society. And all of that comes down to the way that we're brought up and the environment that we're in. So, so yes, let me just read some of the comments now. So I bet the judges had never tasted, no, they hadn't tasted cinnamon matoke balls. Cooking is my thing, Jane's Kitchen says, cooking is my thing. I just love cooking, not because of anything. So she just has the passion for cooking and she enjoys it. It brings joy to her life. It allows her to fulfill her purpose. So, and I'm sure she would appreciate if other people also join her in that journey of her expressing her passion by going to her YouTube channel and seeing exactly what she does there as well. So cooking is something that brings people together as well, you know, family dinners and things like that. Even when people go for cooking classes, it's an activity that can help people to bond and help people to overcome barriers and help people to increase their personal development. Cooking has a lot to offer us. Even in terms of childhood education, cooking is a good thing to encourage your children to do. My children help me cook and they help their dad cook. They do baking with their dad and with myself. It helps them with mathematics, with measurements, with portions. It helps them knowing what goes into their food. So cooking is something that can be used very powerfully. So Bernie Teddy said, but the time they give them is so little to prepare something. Well, think about it. In the semi-finals, they had 45 minutes to prepare their main dish and a dessert. Now, Hakeem Bouanika prepared his cupcakes 3 times. And in fact, I think Sharif Mabinga also did it 3 times. So if they had enough time to cook their main dish and make 3 batches of cupcake, okay, granted, the chapati challenge, probably they weren't really thinking and ready. They weren't really thinking about it that, you know, I need to put the pan on so that it's heating and stuff like that. But for the main dish, I think they had plenty of time, if not too much. That's really wonderful. That's 4 thumbs up in the room. If you could kindly thumbs up. If you haven't thumbs up, however you said. And if you have the ability to share the stream, kindly do that so that we can get more people in here, more people to interact, and more people as well to discuss some of these things that we're talking about. So I was talking about the power of food, the power that food has. Now, let me just make sure I've read all the comments first. So matoke in Uganda, that's a must, right? If you're traveling, if you've never been to Uganda and you go to Uganda, that's one thing you have to try is matoke. Let me see. We've got, sure, Margaret will do. Okay, make thumbs up already. Okay, fantastic, thumbs up already. I'm just wondering if there are any questions. So if you have any questions about Let's Cook, then kindly pose them now. And we also want to say hello to Nidhi J, NDYJ, who has just come in. And I know that person does have a channel as well. So do check them out after the stream. So the power of food. Now, not only does food have the power to bring us together, family meals, Christmas time, food, Easter time, food, all the Muslim festivals, food. At the end of different services, even like in the Sikh temples, food. So we need to eat, right? And food brings people together. When people go out for picnics, especially during summer, they want to have some food together. They want to share a bite to eat while they're relaxing and enjoying themselves. So food has a really big part to play. Food also can help even with different therapies. People having, well, I can imagine, when you're smelling certain types of foods, it helps you to remember certain things like your childhood, especially if it was positive, certain smells like marzipan, and there are certain smells that you just smell it and it just takes you right back to wherever you want to, wherever you were at that time. I remember my mum used a lot of nutmeg in her cooking. So she used to make these things, the Nigerian, she's Ghanaian, she's passed away now, but she used to make these things called puff puff, and she used to make chin chin, which are like Nigerian snacks. I think they have them in other cultures as well. But then she used to use cinnamon, and then she used to make cakes as well, and cinnamon, and it can just, the smell of, nutmeg, not cinnamon, nutmeg, the smell of nutmeg in the house, it just gave you that warm feeling. It just gives you that warm kind of feeling of, oh, there's something nice happening, So even just smelling that again, that nutmeg, it can take you right back to childhood, and it allows you to enjoy those simple pleasures in life through using your sense. The other important thing about food is how it affects us. So in Let's Cook, the show, which I don't know if are the links in there. I think the links are in the description box. I hope they are. But you can watch the episodes that you've missed below. Kindly go and check the description box, and you'll be able to watch the show there. But the contestants were not allowed to use any seasoning cubes. So, question for those in the group: do you cook with seasoning cubes? Non-organic seasoning cubes, just the normal seasoning cubes that you get in the shop. And do you think you could cook without them and for your food to still taste nice? So can you cook food without seasoning cubes, the shop-bought seasoning cubes? That would be really, really interesting for me to find out, because when I went to, yes, all the episodes are in the comments below. So do kindly, when we finish, go and check out the rest of the show from start to finish if you would like to watch Let's Cook, which is my baby, my creation. And yes, do go ahead and check out the show in the comments. So we've got episode 1, 2, 3, and 4 in the comments, and I'll be adding the link for episode 5 at some point when I've managed to breathe, when I managed to breathe and get all the details for the show. So yes, I'd like to find out who here cooks with the shop-bought seasoning cubes, and if you do, have you ever tried cooking without it, and was there a difference in the taste of your food? Could you still cook nice food but without seasoning cubes? And Jane's Kitchen, it would be really nice to see. A few people, someone else has come into the room who is Flossie Flow Vlogs. Thank you very much for joining us. We are talking about the show that I have created and produced, which is called Let's Cook. And it is currently on TV and also on Record TV Uganda's Facebook page. So I'm putting the links to all the episodes are in the description below. And I'm just putting the link for episode 5 in the comment section. So anybody who wants to grab that for today's episode can go in and see them. So yes, just because someone else new has come in, I'll just tell you who's been in here. We've had Namaganda Margaret, we've had Free Trader, Mike Times, Jane's Kitchen, Brainy Teddy, Have I missed anybody else? NDYJ and yourself, Flossie Flow Vlogs. So thank you very much for coming in. So yes, Jane, Margaret, Flossie, NDY, everyone in here, do you use seasoning cubes to cook your food? Because the contestants on this show, they were banned from using seasoning cubes. They weren't allowed to use any seasoning cubes at all. They were only allowed to mix their own herbs and spices to create the flavors, so they could use the spices presented. The spices presented like rosemary, thyme, cayenne pepper, paprika. They could use all of those things and infuse the spices. But they weren't allowed to use seasoning cubes. And we all know the name, the common name in Africa for seasoning cubes. There are a lot of them. There's one beginning with M. There's one beginning with K. In Uganda, there's a very popular one beginning with R. And I won't mention that because, yes, we told them they were not allowed to use any of those processed seasoning food. If you look at the ingredients of those seasoning cubes or seasoning powders, a lot of them, just because of their preservation, they have to preserve it to be able to stay in the shops for longer. They use MSG and they use E numbers as well, and they have to put certain things to preserve. So we told them that they can't use those, that they need to use natural ingredients. We've got natural ingredients that can still give us flavors and spices, but it's all about learning how to use them to make your food really tasty. Otherwise, you'll just have the same seasoning throughout because you've put a whole load of whatever it is that you've put in there. And most of the stuff in there is salt anyway. So let's have a look. Mike Time says, I love your slogan, Elizabeth, bringing stories to life. It's true that I've got a frog in my throat. Let me just clear my throat. Kindly wait. There we go, that's better. I love your slogan, Elizabeth, bringing stories to life. It's true that even though food stories can be told, the show format is great for stories coming out. It's also stories like Hakim's Healthy Cooking, yes. Sure, we are all taking something from the show, learning from people's stories. Thank you very much. Thank you very much, because that was the purpose of the show, was to bring stories to life. The cooking competition part of it is just a vehicle for those values and those stories and those experiences to come out. So we've had so many different stories that have been told. With Hakim Bouanika, he was on the healthy eating sort of spectrum. And for him, it was a personal story that he did share, but we weren't able to sort of fit that into the show because he lost a family member. And that really got the whole family thinking about what they eat and how they, what they put in their body. And as a result of that tragedy and that thing happening, the whole family changed their diet and sort of turned things around so that they were cautious about and sensible about what they were putting into their body. And it's very true that what you put into your body allows you to put out of your body. So I know personally that if I eat certain things, either it will make me sluggish or it will give me a migraine, or just my body won't be comfortable with it. And yes, it is different for every person, but it is very good for us to be aware of our own bodies and what it is that we're putting in our bodies. Simple thing, and it's great the way they do it here anyway, and in every, a lot of places. You can just look at the back, look at the ingredients, look at how many ingredients are in there. If the thing that you're buying is supposed to be cinnamon, for example, and you look at the back and there are like 12 ingredients, alarm bells should be ringing. It's like, well, hold on a second. Cinnamon is a spice. It should just be cinnamon. But if you've got like 15 other things, and if a lot of the things you can't even read the names of them, then, you should be asking yourself, well, I ask myself, I can't ask you to ask yourself, but I ask myself, okay, what is in there? What is the purpose of it? Is it just so that we Is it just so that we can keep it on the shelves for longer? And if that's the case, yes, that might actually achieve the goal, keeping it on the shelf. But when I take it home, I'm going to have to give that to my kids. I'm going to have to put that into my body. My husband's going to be eating that. So what is the cumulative effect of taking all these additional extras into our system? And I'm not a person that is into, I think, I'm not a person who's into, I think there's like a movement like clean eating and all of that. I'm not into like that, but I understand, I think I would understand the principles. I haven't really understood it. I have heard people using that term around, but it's just simple. It's common sense, really. If you're putting something into your system, it's got to go through your system. And yes, the waste will come out of the other end, but a lot of it is being absorbed into your system, whether that's you're putting a lot of fat, or whether you're putting a lot of too much of anything, even too much water, too much of anything is not good for you. And with the processed foods, we're taking a little bit of these chemicals every day. And that's a problem, because sometimes the companies would have the disclaimer, not for everyday use, or use in moderation. But in reality, people use some of these things every single day of their life, and it causes them problems that they can't really put their finger on, or why do I feel this way? But sometimes just looking at the back of the ingredients can really help. So we have, This is Africa, who has come in here. Thank you very much, Keith, for coming in. Much appreciated. And you've got 12, yes. It's crazy that those are mainly preservatives in the immune system. That's right. This is Africa. If you could just put that message back in again, but just spell the number, because apparently numbers aren't allowed anymore. So yes, that's another channel to check out. This is Africa. And since This is Africa has come in, I will do the list again. We've got Namaganda Margaret here, Free Trader. We have Mike Times, Jane's Kitchen, Brainy Teddy. We have JNDYJ, Flossie Flow Vlogs, and last but not least, This is Africa. So all of you are content creators apart from Mike Times, I believe. So yes, you can watch each other's things if you'd like to and see what everybody else is creating. So yes, as I was saying, food has a very powerful part to play in our society. It can bring us together. It can allow people to have events and gather together and eat and enjoy each other as company. You go out for a picnic, or you go out even for, people go out for coffees. I don't drink coffee personally, but people use that as an excuse to fellowship, to gather together, or go out for a coffee, or go out for a drink. But yes, I think for me personally, what's made a difference in my health is being aware of what's going into my body and being aware of certain triggers. So when you eat something, it might take like a day or two. If you're not aware of this, it might take a day or two for that particular compound to have an impact on you. So just being aware of what it is that you're eating, and if every time you eat this thing, maybe a day after, you always feel a certain way, hopefully that'll be useful to anybody in this room. I don't know if there's anyone in this room that has ever suffered with migraines. I have, and just that trick of knowing what it is that I'm putting into my body helps a lot, and has helped a lot. So it can be very debilitating if you're not aware of this. And in Let's Cook, Hakeem Bouanika did share that story about his family member who passed away, and yes, they just made the decision to turn their lives around and eat healthy, because we're living in this day and age where, you can't, unless if you grow the food yourself and you know what's in the water and all of that kind of stuff. Sometimes you can't control all the elements, but as much as possible, where you do have control over things, then try and, I myself try to make sure that I take advantage of that knowledge and to help myself and to help the future of myself and my children. my family in general. So yeah, that's one of the stories. One of the other stories as well, I'm talking about females because we're talking about, just to let you know, This is Africa. If you haven't watched the semi-finals, we now have two finalists. We've got Pablo Semper. Actually, you knew about Pablo Semper. I think Pablo Semper is in the finals, and the person who'll be going up against him is called Edith Quagala. So those two will be battling it out, the battle of the sexes, and we will be seeing them next Saturday at 7 p.m. Ugandan time on Record TV, and also on the Record TV Facebook page. I feel like a broken record. It's like, and also like 7 p.m. You know, I know the whole thing. I've said it so many times that it's just there in my head. I'm like, yeah, 7 p.m., 7 p.m. It was actually originally supposed to be 8 p.m. and it was supposed to be on the Sunday. So I had to kind of like, it's Friday, it's on the Saturday, and it's 7 p.m. It's also repeated at 12 noon. For those in Uganda, it's repeated at 12 noon on Record TV, actually on the TV in Uganda. I don't think they do the repeat on the Facebook page. I don't think they need to because it's already there. But I don't get to see that anyway because at that time I'm usually at church. So so that's what's been happening here. So we've got This is Africa says, one of my goals today after I take care of my house responsibilities, I'm going to the store to eat fresh organic vegetables to gain energy and to boost my immune system. I'm going to the store to eat. Does the store, are you going to the store to buy the food, or is it a place like one of those places where they can prepare it there for you? So that'll be, or is it like one of those places with like a salad bar? You can just go around the store, yeah, because I know they do that in Williamsport. Oh, it's buffering. Should I have switched my network? If it's buffering, then you need to refresh the page. So refresh the page. Refresh the page. I should have switched networks. It's okay now. Great. Thank you very much for letting me know it's buffering. So yeah, the other thing as well that you could do is one thing that I have done. The only problem is I don't have my Ninja thing, which I was using in Uganda. In fact, I took it from here to Uganda and I've left it there because it's so heavy. But you can have smoothies as well, because there's also, you can do juicing, which is you get like, the spinach or the kale or the whatever, and you put it through and it only extracts the juice. Now the problem with that, not really a problem, but with that method, it's you don't get the fiber. You don't get the fiber unless if you use that, then you can just chuck all the leftover bits into into your food. You could just mix it into a stew or something. So that is something you could do as well as eating vegetables. You can also put it into a smoothie. Spinach is a good one and kale is a good one. Mangoes, ginger, and ginger, pineapple, good for inflammation. Ginger is really, really good as well. So you can put all those things, blend them all together and drink with the fiber, with all the bits, all the nice, thick, juicy bits. So yes, back to the values and to the people. Oh, blueberries. Oh, This is Africa. Stop. Actually, I don't use beetroots. I know someone who really loves beetroot, but I haven't really been able to experiment with beetroot. I know they use, they have beetroot crisps where I think they put it in the oven. They slice them really thinly, dry it in the oven, and then you eat it as crisps. So, they try and do that with a lot of vegetable. They have vegetable crisps you can eat, which I guess is better than, deep fried potato chips. Yeah, I'm going to have to try. Yeah, because beetroot's nice because it's kind of got a sweet taste. And, people have it in salads and things. So that's true, yes. So now values, going back to the people now. Hakeem shared his story the week before last, was it? Or the week before that? Sharon shared her story about getting pregnant and being abandoned and not knowing what to do and how to live life and whatnot. And one thing that touched me about her story is that you can find that very, very easily. Her story or that person can be isolated from society, can be judged, can be ridiculed. Oh, you got pregnant outside of marriage. Who do you think people can really look down on that person without giving them the support and the emotional needs, the emotional support that they need at that point in time when they need it the most, when the hormones are raging, when you've got a human being coming into this world that you need to be responsible for, and you're being abandoned by society because of something that they do not, that they've judged you to have done wrong. And oh, this is Africa. What did you delete? So yes, sharing that story, and the reason for sharing that story as well, the reason why it really touched me was because I'm of the view that we need to remember that we're all human beings, that we're all people, that we all have feelings and emotions, and that one moment in our life is a moment in our life. And being judged by that for the rest of your life based on other people's perception of you is not a loving thing. And if we, as people, as human beings, if we could really just get our minds around the fact that even though we might not, let's say, agree with somebody's choices or whatever, us picking on them and highlighting them and making them to be like second-class citizens, really, I don't know, is that the answer? I don't think that's the answer. So if we can kind of increase that, I'll call it love or empathy for one another, then that must be a good thing. And, people might go and say, oh, yeah, but you're encouraging it. At the end of the day, look, life has, these things have been going on in life. There's nothing new under the sun. There's nothing that hasn't been thought of or done or experimented. Just go and check out the Bible. Go and look at the lineage of Jesus Christ. Look at the lineage of Jesus Christ. Look deep into the lineage of Jesus Christ. And you might be, if you have that sort of mentality of, oh, everybody has to be this X, Y, and Z, and you might find that Jesus Christ didn't come from a very pretty lineage. If you say, everybody was in a set this and then a set. Life is life. These things happen. We are all human beings. We put our own judgments on other people. And instead of doing that, one thing we could do is try and see where they're coming from, try and see what situation they're in and how we can help them to strive in society, rather than trying to keep them down mentally through our words, through our actions, through our, trying to push them away, for example, or trying to say, you're a lost cause. Look at what, you're a lost cause. And a lot of the times, the only reason why we do that is because we can identify something it is in their life that we think is bad or wrong or whatever. Whereas somebody else that we're treating really well and we're very supportive to them and we're trying to encourage them to continue to be, a better person or whatever, we're giving them chances. The only reason why we're doing that to them is because we can't identify and see the things that we don't like that they may have done. So, for example, we have a situation where there's somebody who is a teenage mother, for example, or teenage pregnancy. There might be another teenager who is still in school and still doing, but that person also had intercourse with someone, but they just didn't get pregnant. That person who did get pregnant is going to be, in some situations, treated differently to the other person who didn't. Yet, they both had the same act. And then again, the lady actually shows the proof of the pregnancy, right? But what about it takes two to tango? What about the other party to the act? So that if you're really, really against, for example, premarital sex or whatever, you have to remember that they're both parties two parties would have had to take place. But somehow in some situations, the male counterpart is overlooked and they carry on with their life and they're sort of boosted to continue to have a very successful and fruitful life with all the support from people. And then the other person who's actually bearing the fruit that really at that point in time needs that support, especially if they're a teenager, they're kind of maybe looked down on, or they're not supported, they're not, because of that particular act. So yeah, I think it's a case of just remembering all of us, me, myself included, remembering that every single person is a person. They have their own reasons for why things have happened, and we are just putting our values and our perceptions on them. And it would probably be a lot easier if we focused on making sure that we did things the way we want to do them. But then if somebody wasn't doing it the way we wanted them to do it, then our judgment to them isn't going to help them, but it can harm them, right? So instead of doing something to harm them, why don't we do something to encourage them? Or if you're so against whatever it is, then you just leave them alone, because they're not going to be listening to you anyway, right? But you can have a negative impact on that person and that person's trajectory in life. And you find a lot of people who are in depression and whatnot just because of the way society has treated them. So yes, Let's Cook Anyway tries to help bring out those stories to help us think about the fact that people go through things in life, they go through stages in life, but they'll get to a point. Some of these people have got to that point now where they're comfortable with where they are, they're comfortable with what's happened in their life, and hopefully there'll be an inspiration to other people who are going through that same thing at this point in time. So hopefully Sharon Amoy will be an inspiration to somebody who is pregnant and they don't have the support of their partner, for whatever reason. It could even be because the partner, it could be their husband, it could have been someone that they didn't get married to, died, and they're left with a newborn. So, in that situation there, what are you going to do? That is the situation that you're in at that point in time. But then somebody else coming to you and then making judgments and making sly comments to you about, oh yeah, the kids need a dad to grow up around. Well, the dad isn't there. So, what are you going to do? Be supportive to people and be respectful of people and realize that they are not you. And in any way you can, show the love of Christ to them. That would be a good thing. So we've got Mike Times, yes, as Sharif said, he's a meat man. I am too. Did you have any vegetarians on the show? And would you have adjusted what they had to cook, not to cook meat, if you had a vegetarian? That is a really, really good question, because in fact, one of the contestants that was supposed to be on the show was a vegan. Now, vegetarian, that's pretty easy to deal with in terms of, the ingredients you can use and whatnot. But when you go into, if the person is a vegan, then, you're thinking of things like butter. They're not going to be able, or they don't want to use butter, milk. That's right, isn't it? Yeah, milk, cow's milk, that is. Eggs. So that would have been very, very different. So and actually I wanted to try and get that person on, but unfortunately their schedule, they weren't able to come on. I think they wanted to, I can't remember the reason now, but they weren't able to actually come on the show. And what I would have done for that is I would have made sure that we had the alternatives. So I wouldn't have restricted the people who wanted to cook. So we would have had them sort of the main ingredients. And then for that particular person, they would have used the substitute of that main ingredient. So for example, but then it would have been harder for the judges. So instead of maybe the beef, they would have had matoke. Then they could have had one of those very, very large mushrooms as their beef. You see what I mean? You get my drift? So it would have been the same, not the same thing, because obviously they don't have the beef, but then I would have actually consulted them as well, just to find out what are the different alternatives that they do use that could be presented in the same way, but obviously they just wouldn't have the meat there. And the reason why some of the judges were picked as well was because the judges have had that range, that breadth of experience from around the world. So eating vegetarian meals or vegan meals wouldn't have been a big issue for them. Whereas if they hadn't had that experience, it could have been a major thing that would have disadvantaged that vegan or vegetarian, because the judge wouldn't have been able to look beyond the fact that there's no meat on my plate, right? I have a friend, Timmy, who I just always remember. I think I cooked him a meal while at university, and I gave him rice and stew. And I think there was either just one piece of meat or there wasn't any meat, because I wasn't having any meat, right? And he was like, "What? No meat? You don't eat food without meat?" So that's always stuck with me. That's a funny sort of thing that's always stuck with me. So that has always stuck with me, definitely. So yes, so we have our semi-finals. We've had our semi-finals. We've had our 2 semi-finals, and now we are in our finals, and the finals are going to be exciting. But I must warn you, if you are going to watch the finals, and I hope that you do watch the finals, this Saturday coming, Saturday coming, 7 p.m. on Record TV, 7 p.m. Ugandan time, and also on the Record TV Facebook page. You see? It just comes out like that. So if you are going to do that, then just make sure you have a hanky ready. I am being serious. Make sure you have a handkerchief ready, because it is pretty emotional. Yes, make sure you have some either tissues or a hanky ready to wipe those tears away. But it will be fun as well. It will be fun as well, and it will be interesting. It will be exciting. It will be funny, because for some reason, Edith just comes out of her shell. I hope I'm not buffering, because I can see that the internet. For some reason, Edith just comes out of her shell. I think she came out of it a little bit in tonight's episode, but she started off very, very timid and very unaware of what was going to happen. Namaganda Margaret says, you'll have a paper towel around. Paper towel? How dare you? Handkerchief? How dare you? You guys should watch Namaganda's video on, Margaret's video on what you should not do to, is it an African man? I can't remember the title. Something like what you shouldn't do to an African man. Or to a man, or your boyfriend or husband. And she just says, "How dare you? How dare you?" I'm going to be using that as a joke with my husband. So, Chiugu Kings. Hello, Chiugu Kings. How are you doing today? Hope you're well. We have been talking about Let's Cook reality TV show, which is a show that I have created and produced, and it is in Uganda at the moment, but it's available on the Record TV Facebook page, Record TV Uganda Facebook page. So yes, so that'll be very, very interesting. If you'd like to see it, the links are below. The links are below so that you can actually try that out. And Chiugu does makeup. She does makeup, and she also goes live. Thank you very much for coming in here and for taking the time to come in and listen. We've talked about many things today. We've talked about respecting people and appreciating that we're all individuals, we're all people, we all have emotions, we all have feelings, and just being aware that sometimes when we put our prejudice, or you would judge people based on their life pattern, as in what's happened in their life, that's not helpful, because it's not moving them forward, it's not helping them in their personal development, it's just you pouring out your judgment on them, and then they are receiving that and it becomes a negative seed in their life. Rather than doing that, what we could do is actually do the opposite and encourage them, pour positive seeds into their lives. And hopefully that will be something that's more productive for society, so that we can all grow in a loving environment. And yes, of course, there'll be differences and whatnot, but then it's a case of, if you just come in, you've seen somebody, and then you automatically, your prejudgment, how can that person have, 2 kids with different fathers or whatever? You don't know what their life situation was. So by saying that comment like that, it's just being hurtful. It's not progressing. It's not helping anyone. So just an encouragement for us to think about other people as human beings. And then the other thing is always about healthy eating, because in the show, we didn't allow the contestants to use seasoning cubes. So Chiugu, Kings, do you use seasoning cubes in your cooking? If you cook yourself, do you use seasoning cubes, like the branded seasoning cubes? And if you do you think you could make a meal without a seasoning cube and it could still taste nice? Or are you kind of really, really reliant on that seasoning cube that you put in? If you could answer that question, that would be fantastic. So yes, those are the main things. We talked about the values, people's values, being able to push out those positive values into society, to be more respectful and caring of people. And then on the other side as well, being aware of what we're putting into our bodies, because what we put into our bodies has an output. Whether it makes you feel sluggish, or whether it gives you a headache, or whether it gives you gout, or whatever it is, whatever we're putting in our body, and even the positive things, putting things in our body, lots of water, for example, can help your skin, or even your hair. Vegetables and fruits and all those types of things can help your outward body and your emotions as well. So being aware of that. Now, you said yes, of course. Yes, of course, to what? That you use seasoning cubes? Yes, I do. Yes, of course. Do you say you use seasoning cubes? Do you think that you could, was that yes, of course, do you think that you could make your own seasoning just by boiling the meat with salt and pepper and whatever? Do you think you could cook and the food would still taste delicious without using those branded seasoning cubes? You can do without. Okay, that's fantastic. That's really good. And I think sometimes people don't try because they haven't been questioned. They haven't been asked, well, why don't you try cooking without it, see what difference it makes? And then that might save you putting certain ingredients in your body that might not be as helpful to you, So once again, this show is Let's Cook. It is on at 7 p.m. Ugandan time every Saturday. Tomorrow is the next Saturday coming is the finale. And you can also watch it on the Record TV Uganda Facebook page. And there you'll be able to watch it, because that's what I did, because I'm not in Uganda at the moment. I'm in the UK, so I can't watch it on Ugandan TV, but I can watch it on the Facebook page, which is good. Margaret, you said that you need to be healthy. Yes, you need to be healthy. That's right. It depends what the condition is, but then when you're healthy as well, you save yourself medical bills, because then you're not having to be admitted into hospital and things like that. There's some things that you just can't avoid, right? There's some things that it doesn't matter how healthy you eat. It's just whether it's a hereditary thing or whatnot, and there could be other things to do to help combat that. But where you do have control, then you can use that. You can use that control to help yourself if you want to. And that's the key. It's if you want to. It has to be something that's internal, that you make the decision in your mind that, okay, I'm now going to be aware of this. And then once you've made that decision, you can start educating yourself on what different things do. And the easy way of doing it, because I'm not going to be sitting down and analyzing what every ingredient does in that. But think about it. If you have a product, what should be in that product? Turn the back if it's packaged, see what else is in there, if there's anything in addition to it, and ask yourself why and what is that going to do to yourself. Try and find an alternative. Because, for example, in Uganda, there's a very popular seasoning powder, and it has the chemicals that I stay away from. So I don't use it at all. Now, I did find another powder, which is it's a curry actually, and it's made by a company called Tropical Heat. I'm not sponsored by them, but I just wanted to raise it. Now with them, they just have natural ingredients, fennel, cumin, ginger. They just have natural ingredients, and they don't have any of the additional extras. So, of course, it's a no-brainer. I'm going to go with that product if I want to use like a curry thing, because curry is just blended. You've got the curry leaves, you've got all the different things. So, yeah, that's what I choose to use. And so you can still get those flavors without having to go to the farm to pick it yourself, and go with a pestle and mortar and grind it yourself if you don't want to do that. But then if you do want to do that, then that's great, because it's a skill. You learn to skill. But thank you very much, everybody, for coming in. What will you do? Namaganda Marcus says, is that supposed to be aisle? Aisle? I usually try and keep these live streams to an hour so that I can spend time with my family. Because again, another thing in life is making sure that you have the work-life balance and giving time to those that are there present in your life, not ignoring them and not being consumed by additional extras that could take away from your nucleus. So I try to keep these to an hour, and I do a silent live stream at night when everybody's fast asleep. I do a silent live stream, and I usually post a question. So I usually post a question or a thought, and then you can come in and put in your answer. So tonight you can come back, stay for as long as you're able to stay, put in your answer to the question on the live stream, and then you can take part, and you can help me also with the time that you're interacting on this channel. But then so you can do that. So come and see what question I've posed. I was actually going to do a philosophy 101 kind of theme. So every night you ask a philosophical question, and we see what answers come in. Because I like sort of thinking about different things. I love it when people pose questions and you can just put your thoughts and your opinions. And the thing is, there's no right, there's no wrong answer. It's all personal, isn't it? It's all what you think and what you've been brought up to think. So yeah, I might go back to that idea of philosophy 101. Was it philosophy I was thinking of? Philosophy? Moral philosophy. Have you ever watched the program, what was it called? The Good Place. That was a funny program, The Good Place. So thank you very much. Take care for now. Have a lovely evening. Have a lovely weekend. Have a lovely Sunday. And I will be seeing you very, very soon. And I've got lots of things that I'm going to be putting out there, but I really need to do more behind the scenes of production, because the whole yesterday, in fact, throughout the whole night, I was up working, editing, and but I just didn't want to have to film what I was doing. Usually in Uganda, because I'm posting straight away, I just say, yeah, this is what I'm doing. I'm up again, editing at night, to say something, and then I post, because, real life, real time. So, but thank you very much. Take care, everyone. And I will just do the last shout out before I close the stream. From the top, we have Namaganda Margaret. Thank you very much for coming in. Free Trader, thank you so much. Mike Times, thank you. James Kitchen, thank you very much. Brainy Teddy, thank you so much. We have You see, this is the benefit of when you've got like a small stream. You can give everybody a shout out, you see? NDYJ, thank you for coming. Flossy Flow Vlogs, much appreciated. This is Africa, always a pleasure. And, oh, Chiugu, I hope I've got that name, Chiugu Kings. Now, Chiugu sounds Igbo. Is it Igbo? Chi is God in Igbo. Chineke, Chichi, Chinedu, Chukwu Emeka. No, that's Chukwu. So Chiugu, I'm going to go and see, because I see that you do makeup. I'm going to see, maybe you live in America. I don't know, maybe you're in Africa. I'll see what kind of accent you have and see if I can work out if there's any Nigerian connection there, because I'm half Nigerian, half Ghanaian. Okay, then take care for now and just look out, because I'm going to do a live. I haven't worked out how I'm going to do it yet. I'm going to do a live, a Q&A live, because I haven't done that on this channel. I haven't done a video or anything like that. That's like a question and answer session about me. So, yeah, because it was more, it's got like what behind the scenes, but yeah, so I'm going to actually do that. And it'll be great to get suggestions from yourselves. In fact, I don't know how to get those questions in, but I'm going to ask a few people to see the best way to do it. And then I'll do that. Just subscribe to this channel kindly and then hit the little bell, because the little bell will let you know once I've done that or once I've posted anything else. But thank you very much. Take care for now. Have a wonderful weekend. Bye-bye.